This year has been far from normal, and as a result, the Publican Awards has had to adapt and pivot to reflect the realities of the situations you all face. The judging has been conducted in the virtual world, as will the event on March the 30th, where we'll be bringing you all the fun of the awards, but in your own homes. The aim of the awards this year has been to reflect on the outstanding ways in which businesses have flexed and pivoted to survive the crisis. No matter what has been thrown at them, the companies that make up all our finalists have not just rolled with the punches, but have adapted and in some cases even thrived. These are companies that not only worked hard to look after their businesses, but also their teams and the communities they serve. When we decided to press on with the Publican Awards, despite the challenges we were all facing, we were keen to use this event as a platform to learn together from some of the great things our finalists have done. What better way than to pick up some great insight and tips from some of the best operators in the business. So we put together these videos, and I'd urge you all to share these with your teams and colleagues, and hopefully they can help spread some inspiration ahead of the reopening in a few weeks and months. Thanks once again for the continued support from our category partners, who despite their own challenges have enabled us to carry on running this event in the face of such a difficult market. So enjoy, learn and share, and I look forward to being able to get into your sites in person before too long.
So we are in the Coniston Inn, which is based in Coniston, the Lake District. The company started about 13.5 years ago. It started with one single pub, Lindisfarne Inn and Beale. That, over about a year, grew to two. We then managed to get our third, which is when the Inn Collection started. From that, we managed to get a good amount of investment, which then enabled us to expand as a company. We then bought a good couple per year, and then with that, we'll redevelop them. Every pub that we get, we'll trade, and then we'll redevelop. Reopen with the Inn Collection brand. And then when we come out of the pandemic, hopefully we're going to come out with about 22. Yeah, so in terms of investing in staff, we retained all of the staff throughout the whole pandemic. We haven't lost a single member of staff. In terms of investing in them, from the hierarchy, we decided as a company that we were going to retain a lot of them on 100% furlough rather than knocking it down to the 80%. We did that for a period of time that we could sustain for the business. We've put training procedures, so we've been constantly training over about 30 courses throughout the whole industry. In training, we're investing in them. It's free training for those. You know, they can take it with them if they do decide to move on later on. So it's valuable to those. We can't do this job without staff, so we invest in our teams to get the best performance out of them as well. They are the forefront of our business. They are what make the business happen, and like I said, without them, we're nothing. As a company, very, very proud of the fact that we've managed to retain all of our staff. We've managed to expand within the business. We've still been buying pubs throughout this whole procedure. The company's vastly expanding, we're getting bigger, which means that we're going to be taking more guys on, investing in those as well. And the company, it's looking great. So if we were to win Best Managed Pub, I think it would mean the absolute world to the company as well as the staff. We do try our best, we exceed to be the best, so it would mean the absolute world to get it.
So this pub in particular, the Old Cock Inn, I think people would say that it's a great place to meet. It's a great place to enjoy some casual drinks with your friends, likewise a light bite to eat. And also probably a good place to end the night as well in Harpenden. I think that we've done an incredible amount of work. I think it's probably the first point, and it's been different throughout every period of opening and closure. I guess for us, we've really had a clear mission around continuing to move the business forward during that time. Be that through what you see within the sites and everything else as well that we do behind the scenes. I think our biggest achievement is always going to be our people. And what we've seen over the last 12 months, especially with the pandemic, is, do you know what, I cannot speak highly enough of them in terms of how they've just embraced every challenge that's been thrown at them, and there have been a significant amount of challenges, and really got us set to succeed whenever we've then got to the point of reopening. And I don't mean that just from within sites, I also mean with our support teams as well back in the office, who again, through a mixture of furlough and part-time working. Everybody's worked incredibly hard to get us reopened and ready to succeed. In terms of what we've done differently, I think you'd look at the successes that we've had this year, and I would go back to the team in terms of we've really started to create a culture now which will see us succeed as we come out of the pandemic. It's been a massively important factor for us. I think in terms of other things then, just how much we've evolved our offer in line with what our guests want from us would probably be the other one. I guess touching on what could other people learn from us. One of the things that we've really put a precedence on every time that we have reopened has been to really dial down and understand what the guests would want from us. And I think as we especially come out on the 12th of April, that is even more important now. So I think probably as expected, we're doing everything that we can do in terms of making sure that we can open safely and securely, first and foremost, for the guests and the team. Beyond that then, everybody's been working incredibly hard behind the scenes to make sure that we can launch successfully again. So we will be showcasing new menus in terms of spring and summer, and likewise it's off shot at the moment, but we've continued to invest in our outdoor solutions as well, because this is going to be absolutely critical for us. I think it'd be fantastic for us, and definitely part of the journey that we've started would be a real marker for us. I think regardless of the result, we would absolutely take pride in the results that we've driven this year.
Brewhouse and Kitchen is a small collection of 23 businesses currently around the country, a national brand of brew pubs. As soon as lockdown hit, we developed a very quick strategy with regard to what our priorities were going to be, which we very quickly isolated as number one being look after our team and to make sure that they were going to be okay through this, and then second one being protect our brew pubs and look after our buildings that were then going to become empty, and our third priority being to make sure that we were ready. We didn't know how long this was going to be. We had that awkward few days waiting to find out what the government support would be. So it was a really tough time. So I think all of our initial focus was all around our people on our team. I think lockdown has given us the opportunity to be able to get an awful lot of work done, things that were on the list but never quite got around to. So it's allowed us an awful lot of time, and as they say, never waste a good crisis. We've wanted to really utilise that time to take the brand forward, to not stand still, and actually look at what initiatives we could launch. Over the last year, we've completely changed our online platform. We started off just with an online mini keg delivery. We've now got home delivery, so you can enjoy craft beer in your own home. Delivery, takeaway, and then again, more recently, our online experiences and masterclasses, so you can actually learn more about beer and in the future gin from home. As far as the biggest priority for this year, it's really been around communication, and everything's been around communication. Communication to our guests so they understand what rules are in place, and it's not always been the same in every part of the country. So trying to constantly help educate them on what the rules are, and the same for our teams. A constant process of trying to make sure that everyone was clear about what they needed to provide. I'm really proud of the amount of innovation we've completed over the last 12 months. We've looked to listen to our team and guests, but as much as anything, we look to try and preempt the guests' needs and wants as they go through this pandemic. I think one of the biggest lessons we've learned is to never stop pivoting and keep doing different to do better, which I think we've seen throughout the industry, and I think is a sign of the strength of the industry, the fact they've been able to adapt and change so much. To win Best Managed Pub Company would be an amazing achievement for everyone at Brewhouse and Kitchen, something we'd be really proud of. It's been a tough year. We've put a huge amount of work, worked harder than ever before, and it would be a great achievement for the year.
The achievement we're most proud of has to be keeping the team together during the course of the last year. Very challenging for everybody. I'm sure everyone has exactly the same story about how challenging it was. But we really engaged with the team super well, and there was a lot of interaction with them on a platform that we started on called Slack, and opening up the sites in the form of delis, which, you know, it was, I mean, talk about pivoting the business. Those sites went from being pubs one day to being a deli the next day, and we did that in one. That became our blueprint site, if you like. Subsequent to that, we did another 6 of these sites, all in the neighbourhood areas around London, in what we call the urban villages. Decisions weren't by any stretch made by just myself and Mal. We had a great team, a couple of managers, a couple of chefs, and there was a core team, if you like, of about 8 of us. We were all just being bold enough, I think, to change decisions that we were making yesterday and implement those decisions, those changes the following day. And if they didn't work, then we would change those again. I mean, you sound a bit like Boris Johnson's government, don't I? But there was never a time where we were making these decisions and things went smoothly the next day. But it's having the courage and your convictions to go, well, okay, well, let's adapt that and change it. And that's what we did, and that's how all of those businesses that we pivoted so well were so successful. Our team was phenomenal throughout the whole of this lockdown. The way that we all adapted, it was everybody from top to bottom. They got stuck in, and not only did we bring in those 6 sites that I mentioned, and of course all the other staff that came in through the other sites that were actually closed. Not only did we bring a decent amenity to the local neighbours, but I think we actually brought some, it's going to sound a bit cheesy, but a message of hope for a lot of those neighbourhoods as well. And, a lot of people, there was so much goodwill towards those sites that we opened that people thought, my local pub is open. It's bringing a brilliant service and it's putting smiles on people's faces. And let's face it, that's what we're all in this business to do.
Cubit House, we've got 6 sites, all located in central London in the heart of affluent residential communities in the main, and we've been operating since 2006. On the back of the announcement about the forced closure of hospitality, the first thing we did was to make sure that we could communicate as clearly to our team as possible to let them know what was happening, how this would affect them and what support they would get. And then in the very early days of closure, we also looked at what other benefits and support we could give to employees. So we made sure that everybody understood how they could get free access to mental health support. We made sure they understood what other benefits that were still available to them in terms of needing to get support for weekly shops or anything else. And actually, because we were relaunching as a shop, we also made sure that they understood that we were doing some of our goods at cost price to them, so that if they wanted to come over, see us, just have a chat for the people that were still working, we made sure that they knew that. And from that point onwards with the team, it was really about consistent, clear communications. Beyond that, we then looked at how we could evolve the offer. And one thing that people expressed a huge desire for was a pint of beer. And so about 3 weeks after lockdown, we took advice and then we started to sell beer from the Orange in Belgravia. And within about a week, we had a 400-yard long queue outside. And we spoke to people about what they wanted. And from there on, it just kept evolving, which is we launched Cubit House at Home, which was classics that we have in pub that we would pre-prepare and allow guests to reheat, or burger kits or our Sunday roast kits. And then eventually we added on to that hot cooked food for guests, and we partnered up with Deliveroo and Uber Eats. And by the end of lockdown 1, we had 5 of our 6 sites back open and trading, doing all of those aspects. We decided to really go for it for takeaway because above all else it would give the chance for us to give some of those employees that weren't eligible for furlough the chance to get some hours and earn some money. And in this set of circumstances, what we wanted to do was to make sure that our teams felt as supported and as engaged as possible. The reason I believe Cubit House is a good nominee for the Best Managed Pub company is really because of the resilience, the innovation and the determination of the employees that have stayed working in Cubitt House all the way through this pandemic, who have not given up, who've taken all the knocks that this has given us, but have consistently looked for routes to support not just the business day to day, but to ensure that the hundreds of people that are employed by Cubitt House have got a business to return to, and to have the chance to get them recognised for all of their amazing efforts would be the best news for me.
Celebration Group, we've got 126 sites over 3 islands, so the UK, Jersey and Guernsey, 59 of those managed houses and the rest of them tenancies, and lots of inns, just acquired, a few more rooms. Yeah, I think the pandemic hit all of us, and we sat in the Teams call every day sort of thinking, right, how do we move this forward? And the first thing we did, the first sentence that came out of our mouth was perception is key. And we had to make sure that perception of the safety of our teams and our customers and the environments they were in was our starting point. And we looked at how do we innovate our businesses, so how do we redesign our sites to make sure they're COVID friendly. And one of the main factors for us was to ensure that you didn't know there was anything different. I wanted our customers to come back and feel like they were in that same business that they left. So to do that, we had to get quite clever in how we redesigned our sites. So we stuck in some old vintage doors on legs that we could move around, and we also created new private dining rooms wherever we could, and we wanted to make sure that customers had their private space. And the key thing was also that it wasn't just for the pandemic, it was for the future. So those individual doors that we've got, we can use to divide bigger spaces up in future for private dining areas. And then we focus on the delivery of our product and how do we make the customer journey so much better, so much safer, so much cleaner and more effective and efficient. So we developed our app, which we rolled out when we reopened last year, and went down extremely well. The Ostrich is a great example where we've got a 400-seater external area, and they were doing 98% of their sales through the app. It was efficient, it was quick, it was effective, and we really managed it well.
And the main thing, of course, in the last 12 months was just really concentrating on our team, because that was the main focus for us, to make sure that we were looking after our people, that they wanted to come back to work, that they were still engaged with everybody while they were on furlough, online learning, weekly quizzes, just catching up with what was going on in the industry, just generally keeping in touch and making sure that they were just okay.
And it was really important to me that people got outside, got some fresh air and went out for a walk, took some time to themselves just to reflect on what was going on, and actually to take this time back for themselves too, because our industry is pretty relentless. It's long days, it's long nights, it's your life. So where you have an opportunity like this just to take a step back, we wanted to encourage that as much as possible.
It would be unbelievable if we won Best Managed Pub Company, because I think it would be testament to the journey that we've been on as a team in the last 3-4 years. When we first arrived at the company, we had 9 pubs, and to get to where we are now in such a short space of time, and it would just been everything to be able to reopen our pubs, knowing that we've been voted as the Best Managed Pub Company.
And I think for the teams themselves and for the hard work and sacrifice that we put into the businesses, just as a group, this would mean the world to us, because so many people sacrifice so much for us as a business. They would be as proud and excited as I would be if our name was mentioned on the awards evening.